Welcome back, history detectives. Today, we're diving into an explainer that treats human history not as a neat, straight timeline of progress, but as an active crime scene of lost knowledge. We're investigating a profound mystery here, digging into evidence that fundamentally challenges everything we thought we knew about human innovation.
We usually assume technology just constantly marches forward, right? Step by step, era by era. But the evidence we're about to review proves something pretty unsettling. Our ancestors actually possessed advanced knowledge, engineering, and chemistry that we, with all of our modern supercomputers, particle accelerators, and scientists, still cannot fully replicate today. We're looking at things that logically just shouldn't exist when they do.
Which brings us to the core question of today's investigation. What if the absolute greatest technological leaps in history have already been forgotten? I mean, this is the ultimate cold case. To solve it, we're going to open up the case files on 10 incredible discoveries that completely break our modern understanding of linear technological progress.
Let's open up our first dossier. Case file number 1, mechanical anomalies. So, picture this. It's 1901 and Greek sponge divers find this lump of corroded bronze in a shipwreck. Turns out, this thing dates all the way back to 65 BC. When it was first found, it didn't look like much, but inside, it is essentially a 2,000-year-old analog computer that was literally hundreds of years ahead of its time. After this device was built, humanity actually hit a wall of mechanical stagnation for 1,400 years. We only caught up to this level of complexity during the Renaissance. It's honestly like finding a working laptop in a Viking burial mound. Scientists have spent a century blasting this thing with X-rays, and the ambition here is just mind-blowing. They crammed insanely advanced mathematics into a shoebox-sized device containing at least 30 precision-cut interlocking bronze gears. It tracked eclipses, the 5 known planets, and even modeled the irregular orbit of the moon. And the wildest part? Because it was found in a shipwreck, it means this wasn't just some one-off miracle. Someone was casually shipping a highly advanced computer across the Mediterranean like a standard package. And speaking of mechanical evidence that shouldn't exist, how about 1.1 volts? That specific number comes from the Baghdad battery. Discovered in Mesopotamia and dating back to around 250 BC, this device uses copper cylinders and iron rods inside a small clay jar. When scientists filled a replica with an electrolyte, like vinegar, it actually generated 1.1 volts of real electricity. That is 1,800 years before Alessandro Volta supposedly invented the battery. Whether it was deliberate or accidental, you just don't randomly assemble copper, iron, and acid in that exact perfect configuration. Moving right along to case file number 2, classified chemistry. Our next suspect? Greek fire. The Byzantine Empire used this in 672 AD to completely decimate invading Arab fleets. It was projected as a liquid through tubes, kind of like an ancient flamethrower. But get this, it actively ignited on contact with water, stuck to surfaces, and literally could not be extinguished. Sailors who jumped overboard were consumed by flames that followed them right into the sea. Modern chemists have been trying to figure this out for centuries. A formula with things like petroleum, pine resin, quicklime, and saltpeter actively contradicts itself from a modern chemistry standpoint. It remains the greatest uncracked military secret in history, just completely erased when the empire fell. Now, let's look at the forensics of a chemical anomaly that's literally all around us. Think about modern concrete, the stuff we use for highways and parking garages. It starts crumbling in about 50 years and requires billions in annual maintenance. Meanwhile, the Pantheon in Rome, built with Roman concrete in 125 AD, has the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world and is still quietly flexing on every modern building constructed today. It has survived floods and earthquakes for over 2 millennia. So how on earth did they actually achieve this? Well, the secret lies in what scientists call lime clasts. For centuries, these tiny white chunks of lime were just written off as sloppy imperfections. But MIT scientists finally cracked this in 2023. When water seeps into cracks in Roman concrete, these lime clasts dissolve and recrystallize. The Romans engineered a material with a built-in automatic self-repair system. Seawater actually makes it stronger. Scientists are now frantically trying to reverse engineer dirt mixed by hand 2,000 years ago, but getting those specific ancient volcanic ashes right is incredibly difficult. All right, let's zoom way in for case file number 3, accidental nanotechnology. So carbon nanotubes are these incredibly strong, cylindrical structures of carbon atoms arranged at the molecular level. Modern science proudly discovered them in 1991. But back in 2006, electron microscopes revealed a pretty shocking truth. Early Middle Ages swordsmiths in the Middle East were accidentally forging these cutting-edge nanotubes right into Damascus steel. They created legendary blades so insanely sharp they could slice a falling silk scarf cleanly in half under its own weight. The specific ores ran out around 1750, and get this, despite all our particle accelerators, we still can't purposefully forge a sword as good as a 12th century blacksmith.
And it wasn't just swordsmiths. Take the Lycurgus cup from the 4th century AD. When light reflects off this Roman glass cup, it looks green. But when you light it from behind it, it shines blood red. Why? Because the glass contains incredibly precise 50 nanometer gold and silver nanoparticles. This was deliberate, precise nanotechnology embedded into a drinking cup in ancient Rome. They were leveraging optical physics regarding how light interacts with metals, a phenomenon we really only fully understood in the 20th century.
That brings us to case file number 4, impossible feats. Take a second to process this staggering number, 130 tons. That represents the weight of individual, massive limestone blocks at the Inca fortress of Sacsayhuaman, way up in the Andes of Peru. The Inca somehow dragged these up a mountain, and they fit together so perfectly without a single drop of mortar or cement that you literally cannot slide a piece of paper between them. It is an interlocking 3D puzzle of sheer stone that has laughed off 500 years of major earthquakes. And honestly, we have no solid explanation for exactly how they moved or cut them.
Next up in this file is Puma Punku in Bolivia. The builders here use diorite and andesite, which are some of the hardest stones on Earth, yet they're cut with fractions of a millimeter precision. They feature these completely uniform holes and perfectly flat surfaces that snap together like Lego bricks. Keep in mind, this was done without iron tools, without steel, without even a writing system, and it's sitting at 12,800 feet above sea level. Even modern engineers admit they would struggle to replicate this kind of precision using today's laser-guided equipment. Okay, let's look at another number, and this one is all about scale, 170 square miles. Around 500 BC, the Nazca people of Peru mapped out over 800 straight lines and 70 massive animal designs. We're talking like a 300-foot monkey and a 150-foot spider across 170 square miles of dry, windless desert. The proportions are absolutely perfect, but they are only visible from the sky. And the Nazca definitely did not have aircraft. Even if you use ropes and grid systems, the sheer scale and precision required to draw something you cannot even see from the ground remains an astounding, almost unbelievable feat of ancient surveying.
And then we have the ultimate cold case, the Voynich manuscript. It's this 240-page book from the 1400s full of unknown plants, strange bathing illustrations, and elaborate plumbing diagrams. Look at the heavy hitters who have tried to crack this text: WW2 cryptographers, the NSA, and modern AI. The result for every single one of them? Failed. It shows consistent linguistic patterns, which means it's a real language, but it remains a completely unbreakable code just sitting quietly in a Yale University library. Section 5. The verdict on progress. Let's look at our final conclusion. There's a quote from our source material that just perfectly captures this whole investigation. It makes you wonder what else has been lost, how many discoveries were made, used, and then forgotten over the centuries. From self-healing Roman concrete to 2,000-year-old analog computers, this explainer proves a really sobering fact. Technological progress isn't just a permanent upward slope. Knowledge doesn't always go forward. Sometimes it can easily vanish right into the dark, and we spend centuries just trying to catch back up to our ancestors. Which really leaves us with one final provocative question. What else is lying at the bottom of the ocean or buried deep in the dirt, completely erased from human memory? Keep this profound mystery in mind the next time you see a weird lump of corroded bronze or an ancient stone wall, because the greatest technological leaps in history might just be waiting right under our feet, ready to be found all over again. Thanks for investigating with me today.